Historic Dale Cemetery with Cemetery Manager George Weeks and Office Manager Barbara Hostilianos to let the Ossining community know that we've had a second large bulk sale, and as a result of this sale, the cemetery is now operating at a profit. So not only will the 2011 year be recorded as a profit, but there will be money to return to the fund balance that will help pay back for some of the operational deficits that had been paid for out of the fund balance in previous years. In addition, the second sale will give us extra revenue for next year's budget so that we will be able to do a second payback for the 2012 budget. And there's a possibility, although this is not set yet completely sorted, that there'll be a third bulk sale, which will also make the cemetery be profitable for 2 additional years. So that's a very exciting news. We are very fortunate to have this beautiful jewel in Ossining. It's a historic, beautiful, lovely site. It's a small cemetery, so these 3 sales will basically probably bring us almost to capacity, but we're really pleased to be able to preserve this site in the manner in which it should be preserved for its historical significance, and also for the fact that it is a beautiful site here in the community. George, you want to talk a little bit about how this all happened?
Well, basically you've said most of it, but we do have more room.
There's more room. There is more room. Individual sites.
Basically, what had happened was we were approached by the Asian community, and they're always looking around all over Westchester, trying to get within an hour of Chinatown for burial sites. We had a landfill done here about 3 years ago, but it was left with kind of a too steep a hill, and my foreman here, Chico, took his own little bulldozer and pushed that down into a beautiful slope, and it just fit exactly what they wanted. So Mandy Orr, who's the salesman, came up and said that he had some people that were interested in buying bulk. So the first sale was for $400, and we went into a contract with them, and basically what we told them was that we would honor 3 phases for a total amount of 1,200 plus graves. And we have sold the first 400, which is, I was explaining before, it's 30 months of payments. We've received our second payment on that one. We received just this past week the second phase 2, the down payment on that. So there's going to be money coming in for quite a while. And they are extremely interested in phase 3 because honestly, they take and resell the graves to their organization. It's a senior citizens organization, and they have been selling quite well, So I think it's great what we've done, and they're very happy. We've had 4 Asian burials, which I can tell you is really an experience. There's a lot of ceremony to it. They take probably into an hour and a half, Barbara, right? To go through the process, and it's actually something very nice to see. I mean, it's not nice because someone died, but basically
it's a beautiful. I think George is being a little bit modest because really, at the beginning of 2009, when we realized that a big chunk of the deficit of the town had been a result of the cemetery operating at a big deficit, we did charge George with finding a way to bring in additional revenue. And George was very proactive in trying to find things that might be suitable. We also like the concept of the bulk sales here because, as we said, it is physically a very beautiful site. It met their physical needs. Dale is a small cemetery. It's not one of those sort of larger, more, I don't know if commercial is the right word, but larger cemeteries that are, it's more of a business the way these are handled. This is a community-oriented cemetery. You can see that we're nestled right in a residential area right next to our school, and it really also functions as a little bit of a beautiful little space in the community. And so we're very pleased to have a new group of people who were able to enjoy that and to enjoy the way we in Ossining are proud of the historical burials that have occurred here, and this is sort of a new phase in our history. So it's very exciting. It really is significant. There's been a lot of good creative work done by George and Barbara to make this happen, and we're very pleased about it. The town took over Dale Cemetery because New York State law requires when privately held cemeteries go bankrupt that the town is required to take it over. And we made a decision to keep it going because we thought it did have great historical significance here in the community. But we did need to find a way to make it work financially. In these times, you need to do that. You need to make sure that our money, our resources are being spent wisely. And so we really needed to make sure that the revenue, that we exploited every opportunity to create revenue in order to keep this open as a beautiful site. So George and Barbara have really done a magnificent job. We're very pleased. We also have done a couple of other new improvements, including our columbarium, because George realized in his research that more people were being cremated, and we wanted to be able to offer that service, and that's another lovely little reclaimed site here. So
that's new, or
well, it's a beautiful little slip of the cemetery that wasn't being used before. So again, really using our resources very wisely.
So it's an area where you can bury the.
It's like a
I see. Okay, it's like a.
It's attractive though.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very attractive. So this year we're expecting to see about $140,000 over our expenses. Next year it could be as high as, if the third sale comes through, it could be as high as $200,000 over our expenses that will come back into the fund balance. So that's really good.
It is really good.
And then in years going out, it'll I don't know how the exact numbers, but it'll be in the $100,000 range for the going out years too. So it's a significant change in these operations.
And of course, you have all the burials.
When was it taken over by the town? 2004?
2000.
Who was it? What was the name of the previous owners? What was the company?
It was Dale Cemetery Association.
And they weren't really the owners.
They were
the plot holders were considered the owners.
Correct. Yeah.
And they just volunteered their time to, to oversee.
Right. So it's great that it's a going concern, and also we're able to maintain
and
it.
another reason that the town decided they would maintain this is because you have about probably 700 burials that you really have to do on demand. So people who own plots,
right,
and
at least.
And I would say that it's a significant place for Ossining families. Many people desire to be buried here. It's George and Barbara work with a lot of the funeral homes here. It's a desirable place for Ossining families for all the reasons that we mentioned, and we want to be able to continue to offer that service.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I have some questions. Sure.
I just want to backtrack. So last year, you sold 400 plots.
Correct.
Right, to the On-Hung Senior Center. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that gets paid in 3 phases.
Yeah.
Right? And then this year, another 400,
Mm-hmm.
and you're anticipating next year will be
Another
an additional 400? Okay, so 2,000.
What portion of the cemetery would you say is now owned by these Chinese?
Cemetery's 37 acres,
Uh-huh.
and their section is about 3.5 acres.
Okay, so it's not that much.
No.
And
Don't forget it. There's over 12,000 folks that are buried here,
Okay.
and it dates back to 1851. So there are sections that are pretty much filled up, and there are new sections that we've expanded, and there's this, and there's this all in one spot
Okay. Date back to 1851, you said?
yeah.
since 1851.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when the cemetery was established.
And was Dale the original organization that started it?
I believe it was always called Dale Cemetery.
Yeah, the Dale Cemetery Association.
Yeah. Yes. $1,500 per gravesite, so it's $600,000.
Total or for, okay.
No,
I'll
for
have to do
400.
that. For 400.
1.8 million.
Okay. Now, back in 2000, before the town assumed or took over, there was a deficit of, I think, 11,000 a year. Like, how much does it cost to maintain the cemetery
Yeah.
per year?
Capital improvement projects, repair and so forth, I think it's about $300,000.
It's probably closer to 400,000.
Yeah.
With every, correct. It's been running in a deficit for several
years,
years.
Do you know, like, how much of a deficit?
Last year, we reduced the amount of the deficit to about $50,000. The year before that, I believe it was
200, right.
230,000.
Over 200, right.
Yeah, it was about 230,000 in the budget before that, and similarly in the budgets before the 2009 year, it was in the $200,000 deficit range. So this is why the fact that Dale Cemetery Operations will be able to put money back into the general fund is very helpful, because it does help to pay back those previous deficits.
So it was reduced last year to 50 because of that sale?
Because of the first sale, correct. First payment of the first sale.
I think that the town has been extremely supportive. This is really a historic, beautiful place, and it's a memorial park. There are over 12,000 people that are buried here, who have family here, place to come and visit, and you need that. I mean, you should show as much respect for the dead as you do for the living. So I think this park, this memorial park, is important to the residents of the town of Ossining. So far, they haven't bought for it.
So,
Yeah.
revenue
It's supposed to be real.
Yeah, about $140,000 that will go back into the fund balance.
What's it called? The Kilbrook?
This entire section here is for the Asian burials. Phase 1 was in the middle. Phase 2 is here and at the bottom, and phase 3 is all the way off to the left over there.
And then buy the service because someone had died, so. So George, I asked you in 2009 to save Dale Cemetery, and you did it. Congratulations, so happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care. So we're so happy to be able to offer this beautiful jewel of Ossining for another group of residents, and to preserve the significant history here for our Ossining community.